RealClear recently conducted an opinion poll of Biden's first 100 days in office. How did these results compare with media coverage of the same topics? Here we can see that one of the questions asked was dealing with the U.S.-Mexico border crisis. We can see that just 29% of respondents felt that there was satisfactory results to date, and 70% considered to be important. In terms of television news coverage of immigration, we can see that it was sort of here and there, up until Trump announced his candidacy. And we can see once Trump became a candidate, we can see it just goes vertical. And we can see that for most of his presidency, mentions of immigration remained elevated across all three channels. Then we can see in September of 2019, it really drops off a cliff. It stays low during the pandemic. And then we can see that really in February and March, we can see it starting to rise again, especially on Fox News. Over the past decade, Fox News has led coverage of it. MSNBC and then CNN, the least coverage of immigration. We drill into just since the start of 2020, we can see that for most of it was pretty steady. And then we can see on January 17th, so right before the inauguration, we can see mentions of immigration just skyrocket. They've remained elevated ever since. Fox News has covered the most, but we can see CNN and MSNBC are also increasing their coverage. As to whether it's a crisis, we can see that there's been a couple periods. We can see that Fox News is really considered to be a crisis early on, back during the Trump administration. And then in terms of the last 3 months, we can see that CNN and MSNBC now are just starting this very month in March, actually, to call it a crisis. Fox News, though, is really increasing it. So really, it's a crisis on Fox News, less being portrayed less so on the others. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Kavli Taru with RealClear.